a lag on the track.
What's up, everyone? My name is Crack-a-Lag. Welcome back to the Free Game of Crack podcast. Today, I have You Get Me, Larry Ohh on the podcast. He's a music producer who's grown his Instagram account 100,000 followers in just under 12 months. Larry gives you some tips and advice on things that helped him, honestly, the bread and butter of what helped him grow those 100,000 followers in such a short amount of time. Other than that, you get to know Larry a little bit more. We talk about his background, different hustles that he has now, and just kind of like with anything, the evolution. You know, a lot of us producers, we start off just selling beats, and then it leads from one thing to the next. Larry talks about his story in this podcast. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Free Game of Crack podcast. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Free Game of Crack podcast. Today, I have music producer Larry Ohh. Larry, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, for some reason, whenever I hear Larry, do you ever watch Impractical Jokers?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Larry. Yeah. Well, I want to start off with how I first heard about you. So where my studio is in Michigan, there's a studio across the hall from me. And the producer from across the hall, he was telling me about something he had just learned how to do in the FL Studio. And he was like, you ever watch the guy Larry Ohh? And at this point in time, I hadn't heard of you. I said, no. And he was like, he's like, you get me. I said, nah. Yeah. He was like, what? You haven't heard it? He goes, you get me. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, man. And so then he showed me your Instagram. I started following you. And then, from there, you put out a whole bunch of valuable tips for producers and stuff.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
So
that's dope.
How long have you been, I guess, producing?
I've been producing for maybe... I always get this off, and I get it wrong because I feel like I've been saying 12 years for a long time. I would say maybe around 15 or 16 years.
Okay. And then you're...
all on FL.
Yeah, same for me too. Yeah. Like, did you ever even attempt to try to like switch softwares, or was there no need to?
I never tried to switch. I just, I was in different situations where I had to kind of learn different DAWs. I went to LA for a bit of time. I was in LA for like a month, maybe around 2012. And I was working out of a studio, and I had to use Pro Tools, so I had to learn how to use Pro Tools. We were just like tracking vocals and stuff, but that was like it was basic stuff on just like tracking vocals. I've used Logic in another studio. There was a guy in my hometown, Providence, that needed an engineer, so he hired me, and he used Logic, so I had to learn Logic. But as far as like making beats and everything, I was stuck with FL Studio. Never really tried to make beats on another DAW, really.
Gotcha. Yep. Shit. Same with me. So, what would you say so far? So you said it's been about 12 years with beats.
I would say probably like 15.
Oh, okay. Yep. So in those 15 years, if you had to say like, what was your one biggest accomplishment where you felt the most proud, specifically musically?
There's a few moments. There was one that sticks out. In like 2014, I was in this hip hop metal band, and I was like producing and playing drums for the band, and we got signed. We got put on Warped Tour, like all in the same year. We got signed to this like independent label, which was founded by like a guy in a a bigger metal band, and so it was a crazy year. So that was definitely one of the highlights of my like musical career. We got signed. We went into a studio, like a legit studio, $1 million studio in Long Island. Did that, and then in that summer we went and we played Warped Tour for our first tour. So that was like one of the biggest highlights. As far as that, this year has definitely been like my biggest career. My biggest like year in music.
What would you say,
just
like
with everything going on?
I know your Instagram is like gigantic. You're almost at 100,000 followers.
Yeah, it should be pretty soon, actually. Shocking.
What would you say your Instagram was like a year ago?
A year ago, I know this because I always tell my wife, I'm like, yo, like you gotta do you realize last year in May, so it hasn't even been a full year yet. I'd say like around May 18th, for some reason I remember that day I hit 5,000 followers. So up until that point, I was around like 4,000, dabbling here and there, like getting a few followers. I was doing like beat making videos at that time, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. So I was gaining a little bit of momentum, a little bit of traction, but it wasn't until I started doing the tutorials where it really started picking up, and I saw a huge jump in views and follows. So I just like stuck with that, and then so May 18th it'll be a complete year, and I've almost hit, like, I should be able to hit maybe 100,000 around that time. So it's a crazy thing.
Man, that's a story right there. That's a good YouTube video. Like
I know.
100,000 followers in a year. Here's how I did
Right.
it, and you kind of walk people through it. That'd be good.
Hell yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, were you doing ads or anything when you had
No.
under like 5K?
When I had under 5K, I would, like, once in a while put a couple bucks on something, but it never did anything. I don't think the content was what it was like good enough at that time. I think even with ads, the content's got to be there. But I saw the biggest jump with organic content, and I just started putting a few ads on things now because I have my course out. So that's the first time I've ever like really put an ad in the last year. Was just recently last week.
Damn, that's crazy. I've been asking every person this. At what point, or how many years in, did people start taking you serious?
I'd say a good like 3-4 years in, when I was like, because I was with my band at that time too, and I was making beats for some people, and locally people started recognizing my name and hearing, hey, you made beats for this dude, you recorded so and so, because I was running a studio, like recording studio, out of my band's practice space, and I would just like be like heavy in the local scene and go to shows and always be playing local shows too, and people would just hear, yo, Larry Ohh records, he makes beats. So around, I'd say like 3-4 years in is when people started saying, like, people started reaching out to me, you know what I mean, versus me reaching out to people like, hey, you want to record, you want to beat for free, that sort of thing. So I'd say like 3-4 years in.
Yeah, I mean, that's like similar with me too. So you're kind of, you had the artist come to the studio, and then from there it's like, what else does an artist need? That they have to have beats. So it was kind of like an icebreaker for you to sell some more beats by having them do studio sessions with you, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what happened a lot, man. That happened a lot. You get somebody in there for studio time, and they'd be getting beats off of YouTube, and they like at a certain point, I think they would realize that they had to maybe go for some custom routes. I think nowadays it's a lot different with like sites like BeatStars and Airbit and all that stuff. Like, and it's a lot easier to get custom beats. But around that time, I mean, we're talking like over 10 years ago. It was a little bit more difficult. It's everybody wanted to be more hands-on with the producer, so that helped. Like, people would come in for studio time and then ask for a beat eventually. Maybe like a couple sessions in, and they're like, "Oh, like, let me hear some beats." And then so that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, that's how like with me, studio, because so I do studio time, I do beats, and then music videos is kind of like the main thing that I do. And so like the studio has always been kind of like a icebreaker for potential or future business. It's kind of like the artist comes in to do, let's say they came to the studio for a few hours, they record a song. Then from there, they're like, well, how much you charging for videos nowadays? I really like this song, or I want to shoot a video for it. Or it might be from me saying, what are your plans with this song? I really like it. And they're like, oh, what do you think I should do? And it's not even me like on some business trying to make money thing. It'd be definitely shoot a video, because I mean it'd be a good song, and then from there, I end up, not just doing the studio session, but then now I'm shooting their music video, or
You'd be like a one-stop shop.
Yeah. So, do you still do studio sessions now?
During this, no. I actually, like, within the last year, slowed them down. I would just be doing like close friends that I worked with for years, that I make music with on the regular. Like, there's a few people that I do that with. So, and then maybe a couple people that have been coming to me for years. But other than that, over the last year, I slowed down all that. And I was never one to just get like random people in and random studio sessions. I always wanted to keep it close. It was like more of a word of mouth type of thing. And now, especially with the pandemic, I haven't had anybody in here at all. It's just people sending me stuff online. And even the close friends that I work with, they're just sending me stuff from home, because they have like their little setups and whatnot, which helps a lot too. So, but yeah, I'm still doing like mixing, mastering, custom beats, all that stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to like build with an artist, or do you focus more on building like your own platform, like as a producer?
I've done that and both for years. I think this year is more me building myself up as a producer and social media wise. But yeah, I've always like me and my homie Peter Piffin. We put out a project in 2016 that he started off. This is a cool story actually because we started off as just like he was just a client at first, where he was somebody that I met at local shows, and then came in and through a friend that was in the band who was actually a promoter said, "Yo, this dude needs studio time. You want to bring him in?" So I was like, "Yeah, cool." And then he started recording here. And then he started grabbing beats, and then I was like, yo, there's something here, so let's just work on a project. Like, don't worry about studio time. Don't worry about buying beats. Let's just work on this project and get it done and get it sounding dope. We started doing this EDM hip-hop project called Happy Camper, and it was me and Peter Piffin put that out, and then, you know, we built our sound together, really. You know, we kind of formed that sound, a really unique sound, and it did really well on Spotify and Apple Music and SoundCloud and everything. That was pretty dope.
How's the music scene out there, like locally?
It has its ups and downs. I think it goes through waves. Right now, I mean, everything is dead. But just before this, it was really good. It was in Providence. It was a really good scene for like a good maybe 2 years. But before that, it was completely dead. It definitely goes in waves, and I think waves in different genres. Like the whole hip hop community, trap community right now, like, is really high, is really like thriving. But like 2-3 years ago, it was completely dead. When I started out with my metal band in 2008, we were a hip hop metal band. The scene was crazy out here. Like we went to this local venue. It's called Lupo's. Oh, it was called Lupo's. It's called the Strand now. It's like a 1,500 cap venue, just with local bands. Put it this way. Just local bands, I think 5 or 6 local bands, we sold it out. A 1,500 cap venue, just local bands, like no national touring act, nothing. So that's how good that metal and rock scene was around 2010-ish, a couple years after we started. But it was crazy. You know, it goes through waves, I think, just like any other scene.
Yeah, because I always like to ask other people about like the local scene, because when you were saying like you were just doing word of mouth as far as studio sessions and selling beats to people, because so like where I'm at in Lansing, Michigan, there's talent here, and I honestly feel like there's talent like everywhere, but like financially, when I was like the king of the city and I was working with everyone in town, I was poor. So I was still doing it for a living, but it was like, you know, for me, it wasn't until I really started branching out to do like out of state clients, out of town. And that's when I started like really, really making a living versus just like making enough to get by. And that was like, I always say, you're either a product of your environment or you make your environment a product of you. And so when I was just working with local people, I was a product of my environment because I was poor. I was still making a living, but, you know, I had to settle for, you know, $25 an hour for studio time and $100, $200 music videos where, you know, from then focusing on myself and building up like the online brand and identity, and then attracting the customers that I wanted to attract through like running ads and stuff. Then I started getting booked by the people that I wanted to get booked and making the money that I wanted to make. And, you know, from there, it's like every year I've been able to kind of up that bar, and then the next year up the bar, and the next year up that bar. So I'm, you know, super excited for this year and what's going on.
I'm pretty much in that same situation. You know, I was getting a decent amount of studio sessions and like, but, you know, charging $20 an hour, so you can't like make any like real money that way. But, you know, it's a build, and that's what you have to do at that time. And as the demand goes higher, you can charge more, and you can say no to people, and you can say, you know, I'm only picking and choosing who I want to work with. You know?
Yeah, there's I think it's called like The Gambler or Gambling, or it's a movie with I want to say Mark Wahlberg. He's like got a gambling issue, and John Goldberg or John Goodman, he's in it. He's the boss guy, and then at the end,
I saw that.
at the very end when he was like the power of fuck you. I can say fuck you if I don't want to work with you and turn you away.
Yep.
You know how? Yeah, just I don't depend on anyone. Fuck you. If I don't want to do this, fuck you.
Exactly though, like that. It's that mentality, you know. Like you got to grind it out. You got to say yes to like pretty much everything until you can afford to say no to certain things.
Bro, yeah.
Pretty much.
Some of like I guess I would say like negative criticism that I've got from people, they'll tell me like, bro, I respect your grind, your work ethic, you're really good at what you do. If I could say something negative, I would say some of the artists you be working with are trash. And it's like, right, but I do this for a living. I don't do this for fun. If I did this for fun, I would make music with people that I like their music that don't have no money, but then I would still need to make money somewhere else. It's like, no, whether you're good or bad at this point, because I'm not to the power of fuck you. So at this point, yeah, you don't have to be good as long as you pay what I charge for, my services.
Yeah.
My job is to, our job is to do our best for what you're paying for. So if it's recording or mixing a song or, whether you're good or bad, we're going to make you sound as good as we can make you sound.
Exactly. Yep. Just put your stamp on it,
Yeah. And with the stamp, I want to talk about branding. So when did you start saying you get me?
That's a popular question. I'd say like a few years ago, it was an inside joke with me and Peter Piffin, basically. Do you remember the dude that did like the Men's Not Hot, that British dude? Like he did that remix and it was like the biggest song of all time, but it was just a joke. It was like something about a jacket, men's not hot. Well, anyways, this dude had basically a variety show like on YouTube and maybe some other channels in Europe and United Kingdom. And one of his like things that he would always say, and I think it's a British thing, is "You get me." You get me. And then somehow we just started saying it because we found it hilarious. And we started saying it as an inside joke. And then I think I just got it into "You get me," and then just started saying.
No, it's fire, man. It's what, if you hear, I think Maddie Beats was talking about this, like branding is when you hear someone's name, like when you hear Larry Ohh, what do you think of? And the first thing that I would think of is you get me, right? And then tips and teaching. It's like you're the producer teacher.
Yep.
And so I try to, even like with my everyday Instagram stories, I have some things that I do and it's cool. They're like productive or positive influential things, because now people will tag me in their stories doing the stuff. So one of the things that I do is I have a marker board and I write down all the videos I have to edit, and anytime I cross off a video I do this shoo, like this swoosh sound effect. And man, I've been doing it for well over a year or so, and so now I'll get tagged in people's stories where they wrote like a to-do list and they're like crossing something off and tagging me going shoo.
Yep.
So that's
it's those little things that people remember. Now it's like, that's branding. You know what I mean? Just little things like that you would never think in a million years would be a part of your brand, but do become a part of your brand. Like now it's to the point where I don't have to say it in my captions. I don't have to ask people to do it. They just drop "you get me's" in the comments, and I just get a DM, and all it says is "you get me." It's just it. It's just people think of you, you know what I mean? And they might say it in their everyday life too. That's the thing with like maybe a catchphrase. Not that everybody needs a catchphrase or anything like that. But that's just a cool aspect of branding, is having one. And it has to feel natural too. This is an inside joke, and it was probably a whole year of being an inside joke before I even put it on anything,
Yeah, what would you say is more important for like music producers out there? Making fire beats and let's say it's one extreme side of the spectrum. So making fire beats and having zero branding or marketing, or making, I guess, let's say, kind of bad, decent beats, but having fire branding and marketing?
It's a good question.
Right?
I think you have to be, I mean, you got to have some, like, I would say get your beats to sound like, you know, decent, good. And if you have like a crazy like marketing mindset and a crazy like drive on social media and branding and stuff like that, I think even if you had bad beats, it wouldn't do you any justice if you were just trying to sell beats. You know, you could have that, but maybe, like you say, maybe I'm just not that good at making beats, but my branding is ridiculous. My social media is on point, and I have a huge following, or I'm starting to gain a lot of followers, but nobody's buying my beats. Maybe they're not that good. Maybe you shift a little bit, you know? Maybe you shift into something else, maybe like mixing, engineering, or like focusing on the producer side of things. You know what I mean? Like a lot of producers that, like me, for instance, like I'm a producer that caters to producers, you know? Not to say that like my beats are bad, because I've been making beats for a long time and put songs out with artists and sold a lot of beats, but it just happened that way. And because there's a market for everything, you just have to pick and choose like what you're good at. I just found that I'm a lot better at the social media side of things than I am like selling beats online in that way. And it kind of happened by accident, so I just like ran with it and went that way. But to answer it like a little bit quickly is like, I think if you're looking to sell beats, you have to be good. You have to be making dope beats to sell beats, no matter how good your marketing is. Because then people, you might catch them one time and they might buy one, but I don't think you'll get like many repeat customers.
Yeah. If you had to say, I guess your total income, and then what percentage would you say comes from like rappers, and what percentage comes from like producers?
I mean, right now it's probably because I'm honestly like my income is, I have like so many different revenue streams right now, which is needed. That like a little side note for producers out there that are listening, or artists even, you got to have multiple streams of revenue. You know, have to. And nowadays, like you have to, like even you said, like you do the in studio stuff, you do beats, and you do videos. You know, that's 3 streams right there. And now you have your YouTube and whatever else too. Like that's another stream. But like, I would say my income right now is mostly from producers and like companies for like sponsored videos.
Yeah.
And then I'd say like if you go a little bit further down, it's maybe artists that come to me for mixing and mastering, and then custom beats. I'm actually selling less beats than I ever have right now because of the way my social media has been growing and the audience that I've been attracting.
Well, that's crazy. This kind of has to do with it, but so I would say that my social media is, you know, the highest it's been today, and a lot of people still come to me for beats, but I guess I'm so indulged in like the marketing and content and stuff like that I'm hardly ever making beats, but I'm getting DMs every day from upcoming producers who, and this is why like having a brand and marketing is so important, because these dudes will hit me up asking for advice, you know, and they want to make a living doing beats and being a producer and stuff. So they would seek to me for guidance on that subject. And when I go to their page, let's say they're following 600 people, they have 47 followers, and they have like 6 posts on their page, and it's just like, you know, the screen recording of the beats, but like their beats are fire. So it's like the talent isn't the problem. It's I would say it's almost like I tell people the fun part of being a rapper is making songs. The fun part of being a producer is making beats, but that's the easy part. So if you really want it to get to the next level and to become to do it seriously, you have to learn all of the other areas, like all the other pieces of the puzzle. And the pieces of the puzzle, that'd be the marketing, the branding, the putting out content, building that audience, and running ads and different things like that. And in your case, you said ads you just started doing ads, now that you actually have like a course to sell.
Yeah, now that I haven't even done ads really. I realized that the organic content, I mean, maybe I could have like grown even faster if I like threw money on the best performing posts. Not to say that you can't do that. I just didn't. But I'm still growing at a rate that I'm happy with. And but now I'm at a point where I can spend a decent amount on ads, and I have something to sell and something, to put more money behind with the course that we just put out.
Got you. So let's say there's a producer who he's not trash no more. So now he's good at making beats and he wants to build an audience, and he was going to take your approach. What, I guess, advice would you give him to build up his Instagram?
Does he want to attract artists or other producers?
That's a good question. I think that's
that's everybody always asks me that. I'm like, so what's your goal? Do you want to attract artists or do you want to attract producers? Because there's a market for both. There's a big market for both, actually. So you have to pick which lane you want to go in. I always thought that my lane was the artist route. I always thought it was, but now it's not. In 1 year, it shifted. Out of 15 years of my career, in 1 year, it shifted, and my entire audience is like, it's like probably 85-90% producers.
Yeah, I think that's just evolution. It's like in the beginning, I would say everyone, as far as engineers or video guys, producers, we all start off kind of like the start today, make money tomorrow way is dependent on the artist. If you can make a decent enough beat, it doesn't matter if that was your first beat you ever made. There's an artist that'll pay for that. But long term, I think just understanding that it's a hustle, you got to be a hustler, you got to have multiple streams of income. And so that's where, okay, I've been making money off of artists for a long time selling beats. I want more money. I want to, I don't want to be limited to just, or I guess to only that source of income. So then it could be, hey, I know, just like you've been making beats for so many years. Let me put out some tips for some producers here and there. Once you show that you're an authority in that field and that you know what you're talking about, now you start getting people to come to you for that. And then fast forward a little bit, now you can actually offer some sort of product or thing that you could sell to that market of people, the producers, Yep,
that's exactly what I'm doing now. I dropped one tip, and that's the kind of, you get into that, that not a rabbit hole, but you find one thing that works like that, and you kind of got to run with it. I posted like one basic tutorial and realized like, this is it. I have to do more tutorials. And I think that was just the easiest way for me to grow a lot faster. Once I started doing the tutorials on Instagram, I didn't think there was many, if not like maybe a handful of other producers at that time doing quick tips and tricks. So I just, I capitalized on that and just started posting like one a day every day. And realized that now my audience is producers. And, I'm going to cater to them now for, however long, until whenever, because I feel like this is it for me. I finally found that thing that is just like, is growing at a rate which I always wanted to grow, but could never get there out of 15 years,
Yeah. Now, do you have like a email list, or what would you say? Let's say I have 50,000 Instagram followers, but I don't have a list, and I want to convert those people to a list that I own. How would you go about that?
So yeah, I have an email list that I started maybe 4 months ago, and I just started like dropping free stuff. Free stuff of like free like value for people. So free drum kits. Since my audience is all producers, I'm dropping free drum kits. I'm dropping free sample packs, loop packs, presets. I just dropped a bunch of presets for free. And that's going to gain you a lot of emails, because people are going to want to opt in. And especially if they think that this is something that you're going to be doing a lot, they should have no issue hopping on your email list because they know they're going to get a bunch of other free stuff in the long run. But just make sure that you don't take advantage of that and try to sell them something right away. It's a long game.
Yeah, that's like the Gary Vee jab. I don't know if it's how many jabs there are, but there's jab hook or jab hook. And the jabs would be, here's something free. Oh, thank you. Here's something free. Thank you. Here's something free. Thank you. All right, guys, here's a sale going. I am selling something now.
Yep. And then you'll get a lot of people that have they have a lot of trust in you now for that. however long you've done it, you know. So for me, it's been almost a year. There's a lot of people that have built up trust in me because I've been posting so consistently and giving so much free gems for an entire year that now that our course is out, a lot of them had no problem getting the course, you know, which is crazy because I never in a million years think I'd be selling a course.
It's like a relationship, you know. You can't, not to get vulgar, but you can't bang a girl on the first date. You gotta do nice things for some time. And that's what you're doing with a free product. It's like, oh, this guy's a sweetheart. Okay, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna let him have it, and so that's when you capitalize and sell something.
Right? Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. That's basically it. Yeah, and that goes for any market, I think. You know, and especially with the online market, you look at guys like Simon Servita with the free kits, and Eldre and Cymatics and Curtis King with him and Slap Experts, and like there's a lot of people that are all doing it like relatively the same way pretty much, you know, and it's a formula that has been proven to work, you know. And if they trust you, they trust your brand, they know what you're about, they've been following you for a long time, free stuff all the time is what I say. Like as many free things as you can possibly give. And I've done that, and I've seen my email list grow like crazy in the last 4 or 5 months. And my followers continue to grow because when you do that, you not only grow an email list, but at the same time, you're going to grow your following because somebody shares it with another friend, another producer, and says, yo, this dude is always giving away free stuff. You should check him out. He gives away free tips and tricks on his Instagram, but he also gives away free packs all the time, free presets all the time. So I think you grow both followings like that, and they kind of just feed each other.
Yeah, it's just providing value. That's what I've been doing. So like with YouTube, and then I would say YouTube is always like my macro content. Like even this podcast right here, the full video would go YouTube, but then there'd be micro content that comes from this that would go, giving value that's shared on Instagram or Facebook and Twitter and places like that. What's your favorite social media platform?
Definitely Instagram right now, you know. It's been the thing that I've focused the most on over the last couple of years.
Let's say you had to break down the percentage of, I guess, energy and effort that you put into all social media. What percentage would you say goes towards Instagram, and what percentage goes towards, like, let's say, Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or TikTok or any other platform?
Right now, I'd say it's probably 80% Instagram, and then maybe 15% YouTube. But I mean, just because, as of late, I'd say it would go like 70% Instagram because I've been focusing a lot more on the YouTube side of things. That's another thing too. Like I've used my Instagram. I think when you're just starting out, focus on one main like platform, but make sure everything else has, like you said, like micro, macro content. You know, the Gary Vee approach to that too is like film some like longer form stuff and do micros on Instagram, long form on YouTube. But like try to mainly focus on one platform at a time, you know, to grow. Because if you split your energy, because these platforms are crazy, you know what I mean? Like they take time to study, they take time to figure out how to post things, what times are good to post things, how to form the content for that platform. You know, they take different ratio video scales, different size pictures, like you name it. Like every platform has its own thing. So you kind of have to pick one. I chose Instagram because I just felt like I knew it the best. And I just like went hard on Instagram and used my Instagram to then push some of my followers over to YouTube because I started seeing a demand where people were like, yo, we want some like longer videos. We love the short videos, but I want to, you know, some people want to sit in front of their computer for 20 minutes and watch a full video. So I started doing that, and now that percentage has gone up on the YouTube side of things. As far as that, it's mainly just Instagram and YouTube right now. Gotcha.
Yeah, because I'm in love with YouTube and that longer form content. And I feel like YouTube, it's like it's a stronger connection, and it could be because it's, you know, the longer form content. But what I've found is people that are successful on YouTube, it's like in real life, they're income is higher than I've met people that like are really popular on, let's say they got 300,000 followers on their Facebook page or 500,000 followers on Twitter and stuff. And it's like they're poor in real life, but it's like the people on YouTube, that's like the top of the pyramid. And then it trickles down to where, just like you said, with Instagram, you're doing your Instagram is big. That's the top of your pyramid. And then you're sending like the domino effect would be now you're sending people to YouTube. So your YouTube is growing because of how big your Instagram is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends. And it depends on, like, you know, if your YouTube following is there, you know, and it depends on, like, the view, the watch minutes, and all that stuff. It depends if you're doing sponsored videos. I've been lucky enough to do those sponsored videos that a lot of people do on their YouTube channels, but do them for Instagram because people see my engagement on my Instagram account. So I've been lucky enough to, you know, make a good living off of, like, just, like, companies that have been hitting me up, you know. Yeah, and I do longer videos too for them for YouTube. I do like package deals and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Got you. I guess that's the direction that I'm heading right now with my YouTube because I was just thinking like, yo, I was turning down like money as far as like music videos and customer work for a little while because I wanted to get caught up on my YouTube stuff, which is literally just giving away tips or value and not getting any money at all. So one day I like sat down, I was thinking like, you know what? I just spent the last 3 days editing all these like, you know, YouTube videos that are just me giving tips about colors, lighting for music videos or behind the scenes music videos or beat stuff. And there's not any money to it. It's like that's a long term game. That's a marathon versus a sprint. And it's just important because, like you said, the sponsored videos and brands reaching out to you, that's kind of like the next step of where I'm heading. And I'm starting to get, you know, a few emails here and there where now companies are reaching out. And right now it's a lot of like trash stuff that I wouldn't do, but I just know like, okay, a year ago I wasn't getting these emails. So that means I'm getting closer. So fast forward 3 to 6 months, you know, stay consistent. I'll be getting the emails that I want. Yeah. You know, I just got to keep.
That's also a good sign too. If you're getting emails, that's a good sign for you to like contact companies yourself too. Which I sat back and I didn't do that for a long time. I realized I was like, I'm just gonna wait until everybody just reaches out to me, and they might not necessarily have a team of people that is going out and looking. So you kind of sometimes just have to put it in front of their face if that's the route you want to go in, you know, and that way you can work with companies that you might like on a day-to-day basis, companies that you use all the time, like products that you actually use all the time versus like some random company just hitting you up, you know.
That's a gem. I would have never even thought to do that.
Yeah, I haven't done it in a little bit, but yeah, I figured like I'll just reach out to a company because it's not like they have, maybe some of them do, but a lot of them don't have anybody that's actively just like going on social media looking for people. You know, some do though, but a lot of these bigger companies, they're busy. They don't have a team of like social media people to just scout. You know.
What would you say? Like walk me through an average day in your life, like when you wake up and you said every day you post something to Instagram.
Yeah, every day. Yep. At least one post.
Are you batch recording that, or are you doing that like day to day?
I was for a while batch recording it. I think like last summer I started like recording maybe like 4 or 5 videos at a time, and I feel like my time is taken up the same way. So, but right now I'm just I'm doing one day by day. Like I wake up in the morning, you know, I do my thing. I have breakfast. I come to the studio, and then I get a post ready. Like that's the first thing I'm gonna do in the day. You know, I get a post ready. Most of the time, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Yeah. Like today, I had no idea what I was gonna do, but I know that I have like sponsored videos that I have to do. So I have to somehow use these companies in the video, find a creative way to use them at the same time, like stay true to my brand and my content, which is teaching, and I don't want to water down anything. So that's always been a huge goal, is also to not make it feel like I'm selling things to people. Just, mention brands and mention these things that I like personally like endorse and use on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that's like basically it. When I wake up, I come to the studio, I think of a post, I think of some sort of video, some sort of tip. I screen record it, I export it, I edit it in my phone actually, the Instagram post. I use this app called Video Leap. I know that's a question I get asked a lot, is what do I use to edit the videos? So yeah, I edit them in my phone, I do the voiceover, and then I post it. And then, I'm interacting with comments and DMs for a little bit. Then I go on and I do like whatever else I have to do. If I have Zoom calls with people, or if I have like meetings or like a podcast like this, or like mixing and mastering stuff that I have to do, I just do that for basically like the rest of the day.
That's fine.
And I repeat it every day.
Okay, not that number of followers means jack shit, but you pretty much are going to gain 100,000 followers in 12 months. How long ago was it when you first started doing like sponsorships? Maybe
5-6 months ago. Sometimes I'm bad at remembering like timelines. I think it was probably a good like 6 months ago. I'd say 6 months in, but I think that's just because it grew so fast, where people are like, oh, like, damn, he's got like, he's got pull on social media. Let me get my product in front of his audience. I'd say at least like 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
And around then, if you had to say like ballpark, how many followers did you have at this time?
Like 30,000. Maybe between 20 and 30,000. I'd say.
Got you.
I could be wrong, but I'd ballpark,
Yeah. Do you have any like productivity hacks?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough because I've always been pretty motivated. I've always been like just like a workhorse as far as music. Since like day one, I've always taken it seriously because I love it so much, So anything that I've done, I've been like really motivated with. And definitely had times where I've slacked off, and you get unmotivated, and you maybe get like a little bit depressed. Your shit isn't going anywhere, and it's taking a lot longer than you thought. But I guess if you love it, it's always going to be there, and you just got to push yourself every day. And then once you have that, like those little things that you realize where you have a lot of potential. I've always had those little things throughout my career, like my band getting signed, me and Peter Piffin getting millions of plays on our album, on our songs. And then having like little things like that where it's like, yo, it's gonna happen. We just gotta keep going, So even if you on smaller scales, like, because those are bigger scales, because obviously it took me smaller ones to get to those bigger ones. So you gotta use these little things where people are telling you, yo, your beats are really dope. Keep going. Use those as motivation and like to stay consistent with your stuff. And as far as that, I've always had that drive. I don't know if it's a natural thing that people have or if it's something that can be taught. I don't necessarily do anything to like I don't meditate or do anything like that. Maybe I should, but I don't know. I've just always been like super consistent with how I do everything.
It's crazy. It's like, I honestly think it's something that can't be taught. Because about 2 months ago, I started doing coaching calls, and what I've learned is it doesn't really matter how good of a motivational speech you can give to someone. It's like they truly have to, with everything in them, want it to do anything in their power. And man, like, I'll be so fired up, and it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I feel this like fire inside of me as I'm talking to them, and I'm thinking like, do you feel this too as I'm talking to them? And it's like they don't. But
yeah, I know, man. I think it's definitely it's something that it's something has to click in your head. At some point something has to click. And I have some friends that struggle with staying motivated, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I can't like physically help you like get motivated. I could tell you the things that I do on a day-to-day basis, and I don't know. I think it's like a drug, basically. Like I feel like I've gotten these little things, and I'm always just like chasing that like that freedom and and that love for music. You know, people love my beats, and I sell a beat. All right, I can sell 10 beats. All right, like I get a sponsored video, I can get 20 sponsored videos. You know, so it's always been like that, and I've always been like just constantly motivating myself.
What are some goals that you have like 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I don't know, man. This year was a crazy year. 'Cause just in 1 year, I didn't even know that my goal was to put out a course. So I literally, it's crazy. Like 5 year goals. I don't know. I just want to keep teaching. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, just maybe on a bigger scale. You know, maybe it's in front of huge crowds once this pandemic shit is all over with. Maybe it's, you know, in front of bigger crowds. Maybe I'm touring with this kind of thing. Maybe I'm doing bigger courses. I don't know. I just know that I think my audience and my followers are going to be all producers. I don't see that going anywhere. You know, I don't see music production going anywhere. You know, so I feel like as long as I'm doing this, there'll be producers that are going to want to learn. You know, 5 years. I don't know. It's just maybe just more of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Courses, more one-on-ones with people, maybe touring around the world, doing like face-to-face like meetings with people, with producers, and teaching them like workshops. Who knows, man?
Yeah, that's always the same answer as me, is like the same stuff I'm doing today, just on a higher level, you know, like continue doing what I'm doing. I wanted to ask you too, the album that you put out with that artist, did you have any your hand in any of the marketing of that? Because a lot of artists I work with, and it's like they're all looking for ways. You said that got millions of streams? Yeah,
one song in particular got like, I think it's almost at like 4 million streams right now on Spotify, just Spotify too. The whole album I think is like maybe 8 million streams or something like that. I haven't checked in a while, but yeah, so basically what I did was, it was mainly just me like pushing it, because it was when SoundCloud was big at the time. So 2016, I was looking around for somebody else to push it, somebody else to post it, like smaller label or a smaller, like a page, you know what I mean? So I was hitting up all these different pages on SoundCloud. I found one. They got back to me. He's like, yo, I love this EP. Let me push it. I have a SoundCloud page that I want to put it on. It'll be the first like release on the page. I have a network that I have, like a reposting network with all these other labels and SoundCloud pages. So I was like, yo, 20,000 followers is 20,000 more followers than I have on SoundCloud. So let's work out a deal, and let's put it on your SoundCloud page, like to premiere it. I'll put it on like Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. And we did that, and it got like hundreds of thousands of plays in like the first week, which was crazy. And it just started going. One song called Elevated just started going crazy. And then from there, basically on the marketing side of things, it was just me like reaching out to a bunch of people to try to get it a bigger platform than we had at the time. Okay. And that's pretty much how it happened. A short, quick story.
Yeah, so just reaching out to bigger platforms, and obviously there's some sort of compensation, right, to get them to want to do anything. Even if they like it, I feel like they still, you know, understand what they've built and what they offer, so they're going to want some sort of money, right?
Yeah. Like some people will do a percentage, you know, of whatever.
Gotcha.
Like the streaming royalties, you know. It wasn't like a contract type of thing. So it was like pretty cool. It was a cool deal. It was like a handshake deal, you know?
Yeah. If you started over I would say tomorrow, okay? Let's say you start over tomorrow. You've been doing it for over 15 years. Everything that you've learned, and if you wanted to get the fastest results possible, to get to Larry Ohh today, but you're starting from scratch tomorrow, like what would be your first step?
Study social media and start posting way before I ever started. You know what I mean? Or getting on YouTube or just social media. I wish that I got on the social media train 10 years ago. You know, I wish I took advantage of it before it started really growing like how it is now. If I did that day one, who the hell knows where I'd be right now? You know, I'd be in a mansion somewhere or some shit. Who knows? Like, I don't even know. I think I'd be like way better off if I did this 10 years ago, but you know, everything happens for a reason. It happened the way it happened. So I'm not like regretting anything, but I definitely, if I had to start over and it was day one, I would say, yo, you got to take advantage of social media right now, today, right now.
Yeah, it's like so many people too, they overcomplicate things with social media. Like, oh no, I'm waiting to buy a camera so then I can get pictures taken. It's like, bro, your cell phone.
Wrong at it. That's the wrong. Yeah, it's people just they're making excuses. I think you just gotta dive into it. You have your phone. If you have a phone, you have a camera. Like, don't wait to go grab a $1,000 camera to start posting content on social media.
Yep.
If I did that, if I did that last year, I'd be like, I still wouldn't, be posting anything right now. I have my phone. I have a camera. I found this video editing app on my phone. It's like $30 for an entire year. That's how I edited my videos. That's how I still edit my videos. I don't rely on a video editor. Sometimes now I have like video editors for YouTube here and there because there's a longer videos. But now I can afford to throw somebody a few bucks to pay them and edit my video now, But I still to this day still do some of my YouTube videos. But if you want it bad enough, you'll learn these little trades and you'll do it yourself to get your content out if you want it that bad. Some people just don't want it bad enough. Some people procrastinate. Some people are scared to put themselves out there. It's a variety of reasons why.
So Larry Ohh grew 100,000 followers on Instagram in 12 months with only his phone and creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Just my phone and my voice and my face.
Yeah. Last question. Is this shit easy? Is being Larry Ohh, is it easy?
I mean, no, I guess what you do is I make it feel like it's not work. I love what I do. I love every aspect. I love editing my videos. I love talking on live chats with people. I loved making this course. So for me, it is easy, But if you look at it, it is work. It's hard work. But if you love that work, it's easy.
Yeah. What you just said right there is the message that I wanted to make sure you got across. That yes, it's hard work, but if you enjoy doing what you're doing, it's easy.
Yeah, it's hard work in the aspect of it's hours and hours of day every day, 10, 12, 16 hours a day that you're doing this and that you're thinking about it. But it doesn't feel like you're going to that 9-to-5 job. Going to a 9-to-5 job for 8 hours would be way harder work for me than it is to work a 16 or 18 hour day doing what I'm doing right now. I can do this a lot easier than that. I can't. That's another thing that motivated me. Was not working a 9-to-5 job. Go back to that earlier question of motivation and productivity. Is the main thing was I'm not gonna work a 9-to-5 job. I'm not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. So the way I'm gonna provide for my family is going to be this, and I'm going to make it happen no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's the mental strain is something that's not looked at that much. If you had a physical construction job and you worked a 10-hour day, that's physical labor.
Yeah.
A lot of people can be like, oh yeah, you must be tired. You must be exhausted. That was a long day. But when you're mind, it's your mind is a muscle. So
yeah,
when you're constantly thinking and just trying to come up with these ideas and the smartest, best, most tactical way to do these things, it's it takes a toll on you over time, where there's sometimes where I'll be trying to force something because I don't want to waste time and I want to be productive, but it's not coming to me. And it might be at the end of the day where it's you know what, your brain is just fried today. You got to come back tomorrow. There's no juices left up there.
Yeah, man. Breaks. Taking breaks is key.
Yeah, taking breaks is fine. I was, for so many years, I was team fuck sleep, fuck breaks, all that stuff. And then...
because you're going to burn out.
Yeah, I burnt out. So I'm 31. Through my 20s, I was the guy that was always up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Me too.
Yeah, sleeping until noon or something. And
yep.
Honestly, during this quarantine, those are kind of my hours right now. During this quarantine.
I was like that until I'd say a year and a half ago. I was like that, leaving the studio at 5 in the morning. I think, I don't know, I can't call it, but once I got on a better schedule, and I don't know if this is the reason, I got on that morning schedule, and I got like a little bit more structured with everything. And then it was like almost instantly where everything started taking off. So I don't know if that scheduling and like the sleep schedule had a lot to do with it. It definitely had something to do with it. But once I started doing that, everything shifted.
Yeah, having structure is a powerful thing. It's like the building block to setting yourself up for success.
Definitely.
Shout outs and plugs. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, at Larry Ohh with 2 H's on everything. So LARRYOHH on every platform. You know, I just put out a course with the homie Curtis King. I don't know if you're familiar with Curtis King.
Definitely.
He uses FL Studio as well. We just put out an advanced FL Studio course. You can get that at advancedflstudio.com.
All right. Hey, Larry, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. Pleasure.
All right, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next episode.